right, welcome to another lesson with Jen, math magic with Jen. I don't know if it's magical or not, but we're going to try our best. Roman numerals is what we're going to be working on today, and let's give it a shot. Let's talk about it. Okay. So Roman numerals, how did the Romans write numbers? They used capital letters, and I have to admit that a lot of people are a little familiar with it because of clock faces, right? It can usually go 1 through 12, but it's the larger numbers that get kind of confusing. So here's the deal. Roman numerals aren't base 10. They kind of have these halfway points, and you can see the symbols here. So the largest symbol that we'll be playing with is 1,000, which is the letter M. 500 is the letter D. 100 is the letter C. 50 is the letter L. 10 is the letter X. 5 is V, and 1 is an I. And the font that I'm using, it looks a little bit strange, but sometimes it's, Okay, so what typically happens is that you just add on. So as you can see down here, what I have is L would represent a 50. The V is a 5. The I is a 1, so that's how we get 56. Seems simple enough, right? We'll do one more. D is 500. X is 10. And another X is 10. It's like, oh, Roman numerals are so easy, aren't they? Almost. Okay, it turns out there's a really weird rule that we're going to talk about, which is what makes Roman numerals complicated. So let's go ahead and see what that rule is. Okay. Oh, I lied. Before we talk about the rule, we're going to talk about when they were used and where you can still see them today. So they were honestly the most popular system up until the 14th century. If I had to guess, probably because of religion and the dominance of Europe. And that being said, at some point it broke because it's not easy to do math with Roman numerals, okay? To do arithmetic and calculations, it's not good. So the Hindu-Arabic system won because it's way more. However, you will see the use of Roman numerals. So as you can see, I have a picture of a clock face. So yeah, we got the fancy Super Bowls. Yeah, Super Bowls love using, oh, these are older too. So these are back in the 90s. I think we're in the 50s. The Super Bowls are in the 50s now. But you can also see them as copyright dates at the end of television programs, at the end of movies, also in books. So they'll still write copyright dates in Roman numerals. All right, so let's talk about the weird rule that I started to say earlier. Okay, so the weird rule is, and I'm just going to go right here, you could only write a symbol 3 times. And at first, it seems like not a big deal. It's like, okay, great. So here, as you can see from our chart, 1, 2, 3, but this is where we have to pump the brakes. So we're not allowed to write 4 I's in a row. Okay, so they had to figure out how to do this rule. And so what happened is that basically every time you hit a 4 or a 9, so whether that's 4 and 9, 40 and 90, 400 and 900, that's when you get the 4 in a row symbol where things get weird, okay? So I'm gonna skip 4 for just a second and show you what I mean. So 5 is a V, 5 and a 1 is a 6, 5 and 2 I's, I should say 5 and an I, 5 and 2 I's is a 7, 5 and 3 I's is an 8, but I'm not allowed to write 4 I's. So that's why I'm saying 4s and 9s end up being the weird thing. So what they did is they wrote it as subtraction. Okay, so if we go back to our list, so I'm just going to write an abbreviated list. So we're just going to focus on 50, 10, 5, and 1. Okay, that's our abbreviated list. All right, so what ended up happening is that if you write the smaller symbol after the letter, okay, you add. If the smaller symbol comes before, so I is a 1, which is smaller than 5. So if it goes before, it means subtraction. So 4 is IV, 9 is IX, meaning 10 minus 1. So that's what that's doing, is 10 minus 1. Okay, if I talk about 50 here, if I write the X after 50, it's adding. If I write the X before, then it's subtraction. So this is 50 minus 10. Okay. Whew. All right. So where does that leave us then? Okay, great question. So where that leaves us is it's honestly easiest to translate from Roman numerals to our base 10 system using a chart. So here you can see that this chart has 1 through 9, it has 10 through 90, it has 100 through 900. The only thing we're really missing is thousands, so we probably want to add to this chart and say that 1,000 equals M and 2,000 equals M. I mean, it depends on how big a number you want to do, but I think that should kind of do us as far as like year dates go. I think that should be okay. All right. So the nice part about this, if you have a chart that you're going to use, is that you can write a number in expanded form. So here we've got the number 1,938. I've written it 1,938, and then you just go to the chart and find each of the symbols you need. So 1,000, we need an M. 900, we need a CM. 30, we need 3 X's. And 8, we need a 5, or I should say a V and 3 I's. Okay, to make it look official though, once you get all those pieces, you squish it together. Okay, all right. So as you can see, I chose the number 2014. You may be wondering why I chose that number. Well, if you're going to be showing this to, let's say, a 4th grade classroom, then there's going to be a lot of 9 and 10-year-olds. So that might be when they were born, 2014, 2015. So where we would start is breaking it apart. Okay, and then I go to my chart. So 2000 is 2 M's. A 10 is an X. And a 4 is an I, and then a V. So 2014, and by the way, if you want to add, the lines all the way across, because that's the way you like your Roman numerals, you go for it, okay? All right, let's do one more, 379. All right, so let's go find 300. 3 C's, 70, an L, and 2 X's, and 9 IX. Okay, let's squish it. That's a technical term, isn't it? All right. There you go. Now, some of you may be wondering what happens if you want to do something larger than 2000. There are some rules about symbols and multiplication. So I believe it's been a while, but I believe you put like a line over the top and it means multiplying. But that's not something that I have done a lot of because I pretty much kind of used it for things up through 2000, whether I'm talking about dates, whether I'm talking about, dates are the most common, but you can have different things that you want to discuss, height, distance, as long as it's under 2000. Okay. All right. Translating the other direction. So I already kind of talked a little bit about how you would need to know which symbols were smaller versus larger. So you would basically want to make sure that students knew these are larger, and this is where it goes smaller. So M and D are your larger symbols versus V and I, which are the smaller. So when I come over here, I'd go M, all right, great, that's 1,000. And then I notice I have a C, which is 100, and an M, which is 1,000. So you see how that C stuck in there and it's smaller than the 1,000? That means subtraction. So CM means take 100 away from 1,000, so that's actually 900. Okay, 900, not 9,000. Lame. Okay, L is 50. No. L is 50. V is 5, so that's cool. We're still going smaller. And then 2 I's or 2 1's, again, smaller. So it looks like we are at 1,957 or 1957 if we're talking about it as a year. All right, cool. Let's try one more. Okay, so again, I see this 1,000. I'm feeling good about that. I see the D, which is 500. The C, which is 100. So notice I'm going down, so we don't have to worry about subtraction. So because I went 500, then 100, we could just add them together. So that would be 600. Okay. Let's look at the next one. X is 10. L is 50. Uh-oh. We got the subtraction party happening. So XL, so 10 before 50 means subtract. So 10 before 50 means 40. And then it looks like I have 2. So 1642 or 1642. Okay. All right. It's a little bit messy in there, but to me, in my brain, it makes sense to write the values. And if I see a smaller before a bigger, then I know I subtract. If it keeps going smaller, all right. So what if you want to try and use this in an elementary classroom? Totally, you could go to the library and have students pick out a book, look at the front covers, copyright date. They could quiz each other. You could have them, I don't know, just you can make a game out of it. Totally. Okay, bingo is always a classic. So you could use bingo sheets with Roman numerals on it and you could call out a number. So if you call out the number 37, then they have to see if they have 37 in Roman numerals as one of those squares. Totally. You can explore other number systems. The Mayans have a super cool system. Chinese, Babylonian. So you can totally open up your world to different number systems. You can also open up your world by exploring the actual globe. Obviously virtually. If you can afford to take your kid to Rome, that's pretty awesome. But you're probably going to do it via the internet. Look at geography. Maybe you have food that you bring into the class for a party. Maybe you talk about different traditions. Whatever. You can make it your own. In fact, we're coming up on the Olympics pretty soon. Olympics, well, technically they started in Greece, but you can maybe talk about ancient Greece versus ancient Rome and all that kind of, do with it what you will. You could really explore as much as you want. With that, I hope you had a good time learning about Roman numerals. I'll see you next time for our next lesson. We'll see what we dig into next time. Till then, stay safe.